With the new 5e Spelljammer books coming out soon, DMs may find themselves overwhelmed in the giant play setting that is space. Well, today we're going to break down what it's like to play a space game and how to make it easy in 2 simple ways. Hi everybody, my name is Justin and welcome back to Game On, a show all about tabletop gaming, from RPGs to board games and everything in between. We are going to be talking about what it's like and how easy it can be to run a game set in space. With the new 5e Spelljammer books coming out, people will be playing more in the infinite astral sea as well as wild space, and some people might even be playing in the phlogiston. However, this video is not just for those Spelljammer DMs. This is for anybody who wants to set their game in space. If you want to play Stars Without Numbers, if you want to play Starfinder, if you want to play Traveler or anything in space, this is going to be a great video on how you can really manage it as a game master and run a great session for your players. So let's get the ball rolling with tip number 1 I have for you, and that is just go with what you know as a dungeon master or game master. You know how to get a quest, you know how to have a questing location, you know how to have a starting location. All DMs, game masters know how to do this well. It's how you start a campaign. You don't have to change this up really anything different than what you would normally do. You just have a cool quest that you need to give your players. Now, let's pretend that the players are starting on a moon of like a gas giant planet, and this other planet has like 4 other moons, so there's 5 moons in total, and you have them on some dusty frontier town on one of these moons. Normally, in any other D&D or game, whatever you're running, you would have them go to a place, finish a quest, come back. Or go to a place, start a quest, go to another place, yada yada yada. We all know what we're doing. This is no different when you're in space. Let's say they're on this moon. Well, instead of having them sail the seas to an island, all you have them do is sail the sea of space to another moon. It's nothing that difficult. All that you have to do is kind of change the set dressing around and say that you're going back and forth from moons. Treat them like different continents or different places on the same planet. Just pretend that the sphere, this area of the moons and the giant gas giant are all just one planet, and they're all different continents on this giant super planet. That's really you have to do. You just have to pretend that the sea of space is the sea that you would find on land, like here on Earth. I know that sounds way too simple and way too easy, but it's actually really good at doing this. So before Starfinder came out, I tried to run a spacefaring Spelljammer-y Pathfinder 1st edition game, where what I really did was just this exact example. I had a super giant gas planet with a whole bunch of moons, and all I did was I pretended that traveling from moon to moon was like crossing an ocean in a ship. So you can describe what it's like to cross the ocean in a ship. Just do the same thing when you're crossing the astral sea or the Sea of Night or whatever you are playing in. It's really not that difficult. So what you're going to do is you're going to do everything that you know for travel. You're going to talk about what it's like to travel. You're going to have some fun random encounters. Maybe there's some cool guests or other people on the ship with you that you can kind of role play with. Learn rumor tables if they are from the moon that you're going to, just like you would if you're having your players on a ship going to an island, rolling on the rumor table or talking to locals, knowing the lay of the land, so when you get there, you know a little bit more and it's not just like, too much going on. It's really just as easy as that, treating locations as islands on one continent. Now, what you can do is that after that, you can have them hop and hop and hop back and forth, but all you have to do is have these locations prepared on these islands. Now, if you had huge islands fully prepared in your games where you play on land, well then maybe you want this whole area, this whole moon prepared, because just think of it as a big island. However, if you only plan like a couple parts of these islands, then don't plan this whole moon. All that you have to do is plan the areas that you plan on your players going to, and then if anything happens, anything crazy happens where they go off script, this is where you're going to use all of those old notes that you have from old campaigns that you probably ran, where your players never went to those villages, they never met those NPCs, they never had these encounters. You can fill in with the backfill of your log of a DM/GM history to fill in these little areas when your players go off script. And really all you have to do for this simple trick is just change the set dressing and change how you present the information to your players. Instead of an endless sea of water, you now have an endless sea of night. And if you want to make things a little bit more interesting, maybe have one of the ships, get a leak in its hull, and you have to watch all the crew members scrounge around, because instead of water coming in, now the air is leaking out, and that's just as dangerous. So maybe you do want to show the perils of space travel. So just use all those random encounters that you would use in like sea travel and just repurpose them for space travel. You can just change out a couple of keywords and it really, really works. I promise you it works just as simply as that. Now, if you want to learn more about how to be a little bit more complicated in your spacefaring campaigns, we will be talking about that in just one moment. Hey, if you guys like this kind of content, Spelljammer, Space, anything that has to do with RPGs, please give us a thumbs up, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you want to see more videos like this from us. I thank you guys very much for watching so far. Okay, so maybe one gas giant with 5 moons is not enough. Maybe you really have broader plans for this campaign. What if you're like me or somebody who really enjoys just exploring every facet that you can explore in space? That can be incredibly overwhelming, and I understand that. But I promise you that that's not that difficult either. All you have to do now is turn your game into a point crawl. So let's say that the players have access to a whole solar system that you have created, or you have taken from, somewhere and then kind of repurposed it to your liking. It's not that difficult to just act as one of those, again, kind of like a continent on the planet, and have the players go from island to island as a point crawl, but have little midpoints in between those points. So let's say that you wanted to go to, let's say this was taking place in our solar system and you wanted to go to Jupiter. Well, Jupiter itself is a point, but there might be some points on Jupiter that you want to tell the players about. Like, here's the docking bay that you guys know of. Here's a space station that you guys know about. Here's, that Lost Expeditions site. You can give them a map, or at least some way of letting them know that there are places to go. Don't just tell them that, like, hey, you have this whole place to go to. Wouldn't it be cool to explore this whole planet? Because most players are going to be like, what do we do now? But if you give them locations that they can go to, as well as sub-locations on those locations, it really helps give the players a drive, an initiative to do something. The very first time I ran a Traveler game, I did not tell them all the point names. I just said, hey, look at all these planets that you have to go to, and then here's the quest, and let's try to figure out where you guys want to go. And I learned from there that that wasn't the right way to do it. From there, I learned that I needed to give them each individually, like these planets, different sub-locations on all of them, so that they had something that they could name to go to. Giving a player the ability to know where they're going really empowers them to go there. If you just give them a name of a general location, most players are going to be like, but if you tell them they have to go to the port on this particular planet, that's where they might find their contact. They're more likely to try to go than giving them 5 different generic locations and saying, okay, go find your contact. This is where you're going to use a lot of your old stuff as a DM game master that you haven't used yet. So if you have an old binder full of old quest locations and quest ideas that you haven't failed yet, this is where, or you haven't ran yet, this is kind of where you're going to place them. You're going to put them into different places to help with filling out the sandbox of this world. Now, there are plenty of places, I'll try to link some below, that give you awesome quest ideas for sci-fi. I even have a whole book on sci-fi quest ideas and random tables, but there are plenty online. Like I said, I will link some in the description where you can get yourself some really great ideas. And you don't have to prepare that all at once. What I suggest doing is preparing a good solid 4 at once, and then as the players kind of spread out, then you can have more and more on the docket for yourself. Now, the biggest thing that I will suggest to this is don't go into too much detail about everything, because you're going to drive yourself insane as a game master. If you have 30 planet locations that you can go to, having all 30 fully fleshed out and memorized is going to be crazy. Now, if you want to make bullet points and have some cool notes on it, that's fine. Just make sure that you in the session 0 let your players know that you might have to stop and take a look at some of your notes just to make sure you make the game feel more alive for them, and that means maybe taking a drink break or something while you just kind of jog your memory on this location. Now, if you're going to do encounters, I highly suggest getting some pretty fun non-combat encounters when you're going from planet to planet in your ship. It's really cool to show that there's more things out there than something that's trying to kill you. Yes, space is trying to kill you. Yes, there are space pirates out there. But maybe there's a wounded merchant ship that's kind of limping away, and if the players help them, maybe they'll get some of their wares. Maybe there's a distress beacon from some old military ship that is rigged by pirates. Maybe not necessarily trying to kill the players, but maybe just trying to steal their ship. Or maybe that same ship that is having a distress signal really is like a lost Navy ship that needs help. It's really cool to have fun encounters, which I'll list again in the description, that are not combat, but make sure to throw some combat in there too. At the end of the day, all you need to have a fun and engaging space campaign is just to know your points, your quests, and your locations. You don't have to really worry about really diving deep into the infinite ability that is space. Just give yourself some locations that you know pretty well or can easily look up, and then just change the set dressing from, water and islands to space and planets or moons. That's really all you have to do. Do all the same stuff that you would normally do as a DMGM. Have your quirky, fun adventures. Have your players crack jokes and puns. Give them their advantage for them if you're playing, D&D 5e, or, give them good bonuses if you're playing Stars Without Numbers, or just have fun like you normally would in any other ground-based campaign. Just change the setting to the Sea of Night, that is space, and I promise you, this will work for you. Thank you guys so much for watching. This is where I want to hear from you guys in the comments below. What do you do when it comes to running a space-themed campaign in your RPGs? My name is Justin. I thank you all from the bottom of my heart for watching. Game on. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. Get ready to roll your dice, and as always, game on.